So this is the tram station, guys. You can book your tram from here booking office, and the ticket is $30 for adult, and it will take you to the city tour, and that take around 50 minutes tram tour. So this is the first stop here.
Okay folks, a change around a bit. My name's Kieran. I was conducting up to now. I'm now going to be driving this lovely old machine. And looking after your comfort and safety now, and making sure you all behave yourselves, is George, who is driving up to now. Pedestrians, cars, buses, trams. So the public transporters moved out some years ago, and then the earthquake did its damage, and these days you don't see so many people in the square. We're just passing the Citizens' War Memorial, being refurbished. It's also been repositioned, and sooner or later, hopefully sooner, they'll get rid of all the mess in front of it, and then you can approach it, because I think it's going to be ready for our Anzac Day celebrations on the 25th of April. But I would think it is. That's Bush Telegraph stuff, that is. We're now approaching stop number 2, Cathedral Square, and once we leave here we'll be heading up to the river, then going past the roadside market and through the shopping mall. Coming up shortly on the left is a white building. This is 100 years old, former public trust office. This too was damaged in the earthquakes, and they were going to finish the job and knock it down, but in the end, after some discussion, they found the money to renovate it instead. And if you're here from Wednesday onwards, you can enjoy part of the renovation, which was the opening of the rooftop bar and restaurant called Mr. Brightside, open Wednesday afternoon right through to Sunday evening. This is stop number 3. This is a pedestrian zone. It's just over 2 kilometres long. It follows the line of the river, and it links the hospital with the Margaret Mayhew Playground. And on the other side of the river is Cambridge Terrace, hospitality district of the city centre. In this short distance alone, there are over 20 bars and restaurants. It usually gets very busy at lunchtime, especially if the weather's fine. It's a great place on a sunny day. You get a good view of the river. You can watch the trams go by. You can see the people in the scooters getting stuck in the tram rides. You see what's happening in the city centre. On the right hand side, the Bridge of Remembrance, opened in 1924 to honour the soldiers who died in the First World War. A little further along the riverbank is the National Memorial Wall with the names of the 185 people who died in the earthquake on 22nd February 2011. This brings us to stop number 4, the beginning of the shopping mall, and what is perhaps the main attraction around here, the Riverside Market. It's down the laneway to the right-hand side. We're now passing through a part of the city that was totally devastated in the earthquakes, which we had starting just over 12 years ago, in early September 2010. After that one, which was a 7.1, we had months of aftershocks, seemingly endless. And then another big one on the 22nd of February 2011, that was a 6.3. That's where 185 people died. The place was so dangerous to go through that they closed it all off and had members of the armed forces enforcing the shops. All the buildings on this part of the street are new post-earthquake, with just 3 exceptions. And the main exception is the one we're passing just now on our right-hand side, Ballantyne's. Ballantyne's is the oldest department store in New Zealand. There's been a shop on this site since 1854, although it was really just the front room or private house. The Ballantyne family took over the business in 1871. They had to close after the quake. Some damage was done, but they were able to repair it without knocking it down and starting again, and it reopened that same year, November 2011. This is stop number 5. Let's go through the square. And as we cross over, if you look down to the right, you'll see the Port Hills in the distance and the suburb of Kashmir, the southern limit of this road. For some minutes now, we've been on Cashel Street. This is one of the main shopping streets of Christchurch. It also has several banks, a pharmacy and a post office. And if you're wanting a supermarket, there's one very close by down Market Lane. Market Lane's coming up on the right-hand side in just a few seconds. There's a number of these little laneways leading off Cashel Street to different parts of the city centre, and it can be quite interesting to take a wander down them. You never know what you're going to discover. Just a few months ago, my wife went down one of these laneways and discovered a very expensive leather handbag. And we're now going to stop at tram stop number 6 to the seaside resort of Sumner. Until the 1950s, we had it was a 15 to 20 minute car ride from the city centre. It's also served by bus. The number 28 bus goes from the Manchester Street stop today to the earthquakes. And not before time, they're going to start building something here. There's a poster up about it on the right hand side. Some of these things have taken a long time because of disputes with insurance and one or two other things as well. The building with all the glass on the right occupies the site of the former Grand Chancellor Hotel. Now that hotel achieved notoriety during the quakes because it started to lean to one side dangerously. And as a temporary measure to stop the lean, they filled the basement with concrete, which caused problems later on because it was difficult to get rid of it once they tried to deconstruct the building. We're now heading along High Street, crossing the city centre diagonally, which is an unusual direction for a street in Christchurch because nearly all of them go north-south or east-west on a grid pattern. And these grid pattern streets all bear the names of Anglican cathedral cities. This serves as a reminder that Christchurch was founded way back in 1850 as an Anglican settlement. Anyone wishing to come out on one of the first 4 ships that sailed from England in September that year had to have with them a letter of recommendation from their local Anglican parish. This was sometimes abused, apparently. Occasionally a vicar would give someone a letter of recommendation just to get rid of them. Very strict building code applies in the city centre. Since the quakes, no new constructions in this area are allowed to be made higher than 28 metres. So no skyscrapers. This is because the land underneath is very soft and marshy. They have put down deep foundations. Also, people voted in Christchurch to have low-rise buildings rather than high-rise buildings. But it means you can see the sky everywhere you go, and the tops of the buildings. So this is stop number 9, Flower Power. Flower Power, yes, indeed, is a tribute to the wheat farmers of Canterbury. What makes this wheat sheaf unique is they're blown across the Tasman in a big storm sometime in the middle of the 1800s. Because they came here by natural means, they're regarded as a native species. So there's a mural on the left-hand side. Enjoy it while you can, folks, because in the years to come, something will be built in the section in front of it, and you won't see it anymore. As we turn again, close to us on the left is the Chalice Monument, erected in the year 2000 to celebrate not only the millennium, but also the 150 years since Christchurch was founded. And we're now going all the way around the old Anglican Cathedral, damaged in the earthquakes. Take a look to the left and you'll get a very brief glimpse through all the mesh into the transept of the cathedral, something we've not been able to see for a long time. I'll talk to you more in a minute about what they're doing. Heritage Hotel and OGB Bar. OGB stands for Old Government Building, which is exactly what it was until the 1990s. It then became a hotel, but first of all they had to do an earthquake strengthening job on it. Well, they did it so well that it survived the earthquakes. Some of you would have seen this mural on the right already, as we came out at stop number 1, one of the penguins, emphasising Christchurch's connection with the Antarctic. So the cathedral, the Anglican Cathedral on the left. Construction started in 1864, but it was not completed until 1904. Part of the reason why it took so long was because they ran out of money during the building process and had to stop work for a while. So we're coming into Cathedral Square. This time when we leave the square, stop number 2, we'll be heading up to the Museum District and the Parks and Gardens. Main entrance to the Convention Centre. They gave the river the name of their river back in their former home, the Avon Water. 7 years later, the 4 ships arrived with the first settlers from all to unite the tribes on the left-hand side, Te Rohanengawa. That's a tribute to the local Maori tribes. The water feature there represents the braided rivers of Canterbury. That water is recycled rainwater from the roof of the council offices behind it. On our right-hand side is the art gallery, due to close at 5 o'clock, so not too much time to see it. If you're around tomorrow, it's open from 10 until 5. And At 11 in the morning and 2 in the afternoon, they do a free guided tour. Entrance is free in any case. This is stop number 11. Art gallery. They must have run out of china shops when they did that. Well, there he is. Chapman's Homer is his name. The name comes from a poem by the English poet Keats. And that one represents the resilience of the Canterbury people at the time. We'll still go inside and enjoy the architecture. Some fine examples there in the Gothic revival style. Stop number 12, the Arts Centre. Repairs have been ongoing for a number of years and they're complete apart from this central section. That wasn't far to go though, a few more months and that should be finished. A lot of the work has been done from inside. Great to see all the scaffolding, all the mess cleared up. We'll be able to enjoy the whole row of buildings in their former glory. All local stone, apart from the roof tiles come from the other side of the world. They're made of slate and they come from Wales. Through the archway to the left earlier on in the day you can go and visit the Great Hall with its fine stained glass window, plus a couple of little museums and a small art gallery, all free to enter. And we're now about to stop at Tram stop 13. Stop for the Botanic Gardens and there's a gallery and museum containing the private collection of artworks, antiquities and furniture that belonged to the Wakefields, a couple who lost their house in the earthquakes. They donated their collection to Christchurch. The museum will be closing in about half an hour, open tomorrow at 10 o'clock. There is an admission charge there. So we're now about to stop at tram stop number 14, Hagley Park. Parts of this building go back to the 1870s. It's a bed and breakfast at the moment, but originally was the home of the Reverend James Stack and his family. James Stack was born in the Thames district of the North Island, and during his childhood he lived among the Maori people and learned to speak their language. Heritage buildings on both sides of us. The ones on the right, the white ones going around the corner, these are the oldest ones. They go back to the 1860s. The former provincial council chambers, the parliament of the early years. Damaged in the earthquakes, they're now waiting their turn to be repaired. It's likely to be quite a few years here. Lack of money and lack of stonemasons apparently. Back to the right again, the main entrance to Tip High, our convention centre. Just over a year ago. The wavy line in the windows represents the river flowing through Christchurch. Should be on the left-hand side. It's Queen Victoria. This is Victoria Square. Take place here. Made his name through his cookery book and his recipe for baking powder. That was Thomas Edmonds. On the road ahead of us is the Market Making Playground. If you like, his name is Gin Gin. The street, by the way, is named after Regent Street in London. Don't look like it though. And crossing the road we come into our final stop of the day. Stop number 1. Cathedral Junction. The building here was designed by John Britton, a man who also designed motorcycles, and it resembles in some ways an old railway station of the late 1800s. On our right hand side as we come to a halt is our booking office where you can buy tickets for the gondola, the punting on the apron and the garden tours. Well folks, journey's end for this particular tram, but more trams will be leaving from this point shortly. Hope you've enjoyed it so far. Thank you for travelling with us and have a good evening everyone. We now have to put this lovely old tram to bed.
Back.